9 minutes after 7. I'll call the meeting to order. I'm Gregory Mee. I'm chairing the meeting in the absence of the chair and the vice chair. First order of business is the minutes from the last meeting. Have you received any
I
comments?
did not receive anything.
Does anyone have anything to, I'll look for a motion to move the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
And a second, all those in favor? Aye. New business, preconceptual consultation for housing development at 22 Aberton Road, map 341, lot 28. And we have an applicant present, I'm
Guilty.
and state your
Ernie
name.
Mayo, Silver Creek Development.
Alright.
That's not quite the address, but
Is that what this is?
I can give you each kind, yes, that's,
Those are the old ones, Greg, that
those are the
Cal
old
has.
I would have brought them smaller, but I can't read that small print, so
I like big paper.
at my age, I need some big prints. As I told you, I'm Ernie Mayo with Silver Creek Development. We do housing developments around the state. And we are currently negotiating with the Abertons to purchase, apparently she subdivided 3 lots, is in the works. Unbeknownst to us, we were gonna buy the whole thing, but with the ag, I understand that your development ordinance says that once you have 3 lots to subdivide, you can't divide it for 5 years. Is that correct?
That's what I understand.
Okay, I'm just making sure. So the 70-acre parcel on the left-hand side is, we were gonna try to do a 55 and older housing development, but the cluster development says you can only do 50% of the normal size lots. So if we can get 6 lots in that 70 acres, we'd only be able to do 3. Is that your understanding of it? That's what Cal and Ken, no, you Ken? Yeah.
I don't believe you can actually have a cluster in agricultural zone.
No, this is rural.
Oh, you're talking just that half of the lot?
Yeah, this part of the part's rural. So if we can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we can get 3.5 or 3.
Do you know what percentage is ag versus rural of that lot?
It's about 57% rural and the rest is ag. Of this entire lot. So we just, anyways, we get back to it, so we just,
Can you come to show
Sure.
us where you're,
yes. This is rural zoned, this area here, and this is agricultural zone.
is this the zoning,
No,
That-
this is the boundary right
this
here,
is the zoning boundary,
that's the zoning boundary.
so that's rural.
Yeah, and then the lot is actually this size.
Correct, yeah,
Okay.
alright,
So what we're thinking about doing is taking, we know that once they do their subdivision, we can only put 1 lot on agricultural, then we have to wait 5 years to do it again.
Mhm.
So we were planning on doing the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then making this 1 lot, but we're gonna put the road in to class 5 specs. We're actually gonna pave it. And then subdivide this in 5 years. We can't do this one, that's less than 50% on ag, even though it's 5 acres. We just make this 1 big lot on this lot line right here. And then build these houses and then wait to build on the rest one for 5 years, I think is the,
that's what I think it is, yes.
yes.
Anything else you wanna fill
Well,
us
the
in on?
only thing we were questioning was the rural and ag, to make the lots work with your ordinance, you have to have 300 feet of frontage. On rural, it's 3 acres, on ag, it's 5 acres. So that's why we went to, well, these are all 5 acres because it's easier. With the 300-foot frontage and this lot here, the only thing is the rural and ag splits it kind of not 50-50, but would that be considered a rural lot or an ag lot?
I don't know off the top of my head the answer to that. There is a specification about if it's less, is it within a certain distance? Or,
I could be wrong, I'm not a planning specialist, it was my understanding that if the bulk of one zone on the lot, that bulk zone is the zone you're zoned for.
That's the way we read it,
So if the ag is 51% and it's 49 rural, then you're an ag.
an
zone.
ag lot,
Yes.
exactly. So that's why this lot here is more ag than rural. But these two lots are obviously more rural than ag.
I mean, my only concern is how can you subdivide 300 foot of frontage on a non-existent road? On a non-town road, you can't,
I was told that
you can put a private road in,
we can put a private road in.
okay,
We realize we have to put a cistern in, because most fire departments want them.
Yeah.
But we have to make it to town specs, even though you wouldn't maintain it.
that's my understanding, yes.
Yes. That part's not a problem, we build roads all the time, it's just, we like to pave our roads, we don't like to leave them gravel. Just because of the fact that it's just easier to maintain, and mine,
Wetlands, have you done wetlands on this?
The wetland study is being done, but it's mostly, there's no wetlands
What a steep slope, isn't there?
up here, it's mostly down here where the river is.
I think that in the subdivision application, they were saying there was a lot of wetland along here.
Yeah, they're not.
This is Baptist Hill, right?
Yeah, Baptist Hill Road.
Well, anyhow, until you do the wetland study, you don't know.
It's true, exactly. I mean, I still think we meet the criteria with, even if this has some small wetland areas on it. We're right to get by it.
And septic soils.
Yes, that's obviously, we'll do test pits once we come to an agreement with the owner, current owner.
Right.
We were gonna buy the whole thing, but this we can't develop for 5 years after she does the subdivision. And they're doing that to give this gentleman some acreage, and then they adjusted a lot line down here, but
Right.
because it's a 3-lot subdivision in ag,
I know.
the way I read the ordinance, you can't subdivide it again for 5 years.
I believe that is correct.
Okay.
Questions from board members? Or do you have anything else you'd like to,
No, just that, want some input on what you all thought of,
This is the first time I'm seeing it.
Yeah, me too.
Everybody else, but-
no, I just came to Cal and Ken last week, at the end of the week.
so there's some fairly steep over here in the ag zone, but that's again in the 5 acre zone, but,
Right, we have a building zone
And these are 10
here
acre.
and here.
although this is fairly.
There's no discussion. No.
So we exclude wetlands from how does that work? Was wetlands excluded from the acreage?
Well, it's not a cluster, this is just a standard.
No, this is yeah.
Standard, yeah.
The way I read it, the wetlands is only included on the cluster housing.
Correct.
The regular
That's
acreage.
correct.
Now, I'm not an expert with ordinances, believe me. We've done a lot of cluster housing lately, and we're not the last 4 or 5 years. And it's been, each town's different. You could, on this property in Manchester, you can put 25, 30, 55 and older houses on it. But you can't in your town, so it is what it is.
So it's not gonna be a 55?
No, we thought about
Okay.
it because that's what kind of people are going to now, right now. But the style of house we build is more of a colonial Cape style with first floor masters and then 2-car garages and 4 bedrooms usually, 3 to 4 bedrooms. To try to keep with there's a lot of capes on that road and colonials, we try to keep with that style. I'm not looking for, just looking for input,
Yeah.
what you guys think. I know it's a short time frame, but if something, blares at you that we're doing something wrong here, I'd like to,
I mean, honestly, I don't wanna feel like we're not giving you input, but not having certain board members here is kind of, I don't wanna say a disadvantage for you, but they're far more knowledgeable about certain things like this.
okay,
And I would hate to either give you the wrong information or I don't wanna waste your, you know what I'm saying?
I understand, I
Right, we
mean,
don't wanna say, oh, it's fine, because.
oh, no,
we
no,
don't
there's
have-
no, believe me, I've done this long enough, I'm doing this 52 years, there's no approval process here.
Right.
Normally, we go to the planning department in a city or town and talk to them, and they give their input, and then, but,
Well, right now ours is in limbo,
so,
We don't really have a planning department per se.
or land use, whatever you wanna call it,
Yeah.
So we wanna open it up to public question as well, so if board members have any other questions.
I'm just curious, that's why I'm here.
Right, but you're absolutely, if there's questions that you have, speak up and ask them.
No, I don't have any questions.
Beth is on.
Yes, Greg, I have a question if you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
I'm just curious when the map that was just presented to you will be available for us to look at? Because I would have liked to see what you were talking about while I was zooming in.
Is this do they have this in the town office?
Has this been submitted to the town office?
This is just
It's just
conceptual,
agree, yeah.
we had some of the conceptual to the town, but we're asked to come here and talk to you folks about it.
Yes, so she doesn't have a copy of this to
No.
be able to put out yet.
Electronically, you mean?
Have to put them online because they've been presented at a meeting.
Right,
They
Right.
might not have been on in advance.
right.
Does that
Okay,
answer
thank you.
the question, Beth?
As soon as possible, I would say that.
No, that's fine. And if I could just be painfully clear, this is not for a cluster development. This is for 7 single-family homes that will be on the lot that you're talking about. Is that correct?
That is correct.
It's actually more than 7.
Well, no, it won't be for the
Well-
first, it'll be 8 for the first phase 1.
2, 3, 4,
No,
5,
So we can't,
6, 7.
you can't put these lots, according to your ordinance, this will be one big lot for 5 years. We just wanted to show what we were gonna do in 5 years.
Well, I mean, don't you kind of feel like the cart was before the horse on this one, in the sense that we don't have a wetlands study, you don't have the building envelopes. We don't really even know if hypothetically these lots could all even exist.
Or be purchased yet.
Oh,
But we haven't purchased it yet.
it's preconceptual, so
It's preconceptual,
they're
we're just trying to
following an
figure out,
idea
Again.
before they flesh it out. I mean, as you said, there's no approval here,
no,
and you're asking if we see any red flags of something
Right.
that is, and the immediate red flag is the ag zone, which you are have
Aware
said
of,
that
yeah.
you're aware of, and you realize you can't subdivide that for 5 years. So just to be clear for Beth, it's currently 8 lots.
correct,
And and their hope is to subdivide the one lot that is in the ag zone after 5 years into
4 lots.
4 lots. But actually, that is,
That's
So-
actually 9, 1, 2, 3. That's 9 lots and then another 4 lots. Beth, I texted you a picture of the map we're looking at.
Okay, thank you very much, Logan.
It's not very good, but it will help. Trying to explain this to you over the phone will not be.
I'm somewhat familiar with the property from being on the Conservation Commission, but I just wanted to make sure which particular part of the property that they were talking about.
One big lot here.
Misunderstanding.
all right, so correction, it's 9 lots that would be
Okay.
developed. 9 plus 1, right?
Plus 1.
So
Well, but this would not be developed immediately. They will-
but you're saying you could build a house on that
Yes, we could build one house on one of the lots, as long as it met the criteria.
and then subdivide.
Our big thing was to put the road in completely from day one. Just to make sure that, so we don't have to go back in twice.
Oh, okay.
Now, Greg, you've got far more experience in this than me, like this is newer to me. If the majority of the parent property, meaning the Everton property as a whole, is ag and gets subdivided, does that mean you can't subdivide the subdivided lots for 5 years, since that's the larger parcel, or does that go out the window once it's subdivided?
Once it's subdivided, then each lot is individual. If it's in the ag zone, then it can't be subdivided. What's in the ag zone cannot be subdivided for 5 years.
But I guess my question is, if the parent tract was majority ag, which I think it was like 75% ag, and that gets divided into 3.
I don't know if there is,
Just based on
I
the fact
don't-
that if,
I don't recall seeing anything talking about the majority of the lot limiting future use of the subdivided lots.
okay, 'cause
Oh,
I just,
actually,
was that
let's see,
Wyven?
the Wyven Road one,
Yeah,
part of that was rural and part of it was ag.
and they changed the front, I mean, this was before my time, but it was frontages and lot size. Right? That's my only big question, is I don't want to say, here, this looks good, and then you go, hey, 70% is ag, I don't know if we can
But that
actually.
puts a restriction on
If
the
it puts it on the-
on the
exactly.
on all 3 subdivided parcels.
For a
In
5
the
years.
totality,
Yeah, I just, I
Yeah.
don't,
I think
know.
we,
I don't know
Probably
I don't know for sure, but my feeling is that it wouldn't be, but,
Cause I just know you revert to the higher portion in a mixed zone, so I don't know if in a subdivision it did the same thing in a major subdivision, or if it didn't.
that's
it
above
feels like
my
one of those
pay grade.
questions that Brendan would probably have
And
an answer to.
that's why I feel bad for you is,
No, I'm just, again, I'm not looking for, we're looking for some direction a little bit, but from what we've read, the engineer, Keach Nordstrom is the engineer we use. And us together have used that we read the ordinances, tried to figure it out, and maybe gone from there.
So, this is our vice chair. And I'll turn it over to you, maybe I should finish this
You
session
go
with
right
him
ahead
and then
and
turn it
continue.
over to you.
Sure.
And do we have any other public present online,
I think
We
it's
have
not.
another one, but no comments.
but no
Do you want a
comment?
copy of the map?
oh, he's.
Sure.
Can I just interrupt for 1 second and say thank you for explaining so clearly? And Logan, thank you for the map. That made things a lot better.
Yeah, no problem.
Let's give Megan a minute to digest this in case she has
Right now,
questions.
he's split it into 3 lots, which maybe you can remember.
This is the
This is the
Baptist
lot that we're
Hill
looking at.
roadside.
This is the rural zone, this is ag. So we know we can't build in the ag, subdivide the ag in 5 years. So according to the ordinance, the way we read it, these would be developable right away, after we get it all approved, obviously.
Okay.
Yes.
But if it's more than, if rural is more than 50%, it goes to rural. Which these 2 lots would, this one wouldn't, this would be an ag lot.
We were just sort of kicking around the question of like, does any of that 5-year restriction mean that they can't subdivide any of this lot for 5 years? And nobody here feels confident that they know the answer to that offhand.
Do you understand that question, Megan?
Yes. So the entirety of the lot.
No, this is, well, the white, she subdivided
She
right,
subdivided this already. Oh,
this 70-acre parcel's right here.
I see. Yep.
Were you at the subdivision meeting for that? Ivan?
I don't think so. Doesn't look
I think you would probably remember. It
Wait,
was
James
not-
Marino?
don't think you
No, I
would.
don't think
Fairly
it was.
substantial. Yeah.
No, this is.
Alright.
No, it's not. So the majority of it is in rural
Correct.
total.
All right, any more questions from the board?
I'm sort of like curious what this could look like as a cluster development, because it feels like it's that sort of lot, and like in the 5-year restriction on subdividing, there probably is going to be a factor.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
I'm
I
curious what this
apologize.
would look like as a cluster style subdivision.
The way our cluster is written right now, it would further restrict what you can do, right?
Correct, you'd only, according to the cluster ordinance you have right now, in the rural zone, it can't be an ag, you can't have cluster in ag, you only have a rural. You take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, divide it by half, and you'd be able to put 4 or 5, 4.5 houses, probably 4 in this area right here. And then this would all be not usable.
You know, percentage of housing to something in this town. So it's-
That is the way the cluster is written now.
Right.
There,
Somebody-
without,
3%.
There'll be a pre-bonus number.
that's that's the pre-bonuses number. But the
Correct,
bonuses-
yes,
But the
yes.
bonuses are very limited in the way the cluster is written.
Yes, it's very limited, but it's what it is.
Well, but if you go by the principle that the majority zone rules the lot, wouldn't it still be eligible as a cluster subdivision since it's more rural than ag?
That's an interesting
Like-
question, I
That was kind of what I was thinking too, is like, how does this actually
Cause
get
I
applied?
mean, if we apply it for the subdivision for you, you can't touch it for 5, but if the majority of the lot is 59% rural, doesn't that then put it in the category of being a cluster?
The way we read the ordinance, it didn't define that. We were trying to figure, that's why I went to Cal and Ken, but they didn't know the answer to that one either. Neither do we, so I can't,
But it
I'm not
would
gonna-
still be half of what you.
correct. It'd still be, yes, it would still be half,
less than-
although it would,
No,
no, it wouldn't be.
it'd be, no. No, you could
And
probably
again,
push
those would be,
15 to 18 in there in a cluster, depending on the acreage.
Oh, you mean
buildable
because
envelope.
of the 3 acre rather than the 5 acre?
If you're playing by rural and then all your wetlands in the back and you preserve the back half of that lot, you could probably cluster the front pretty easily, a lot easier than putting in a road, probably, what's that, half a mile?
No, it's
Or-
well, 2,100 feet.
Okay.
The difference being maybe the type of houses and the cost and.
It doesn't,
not.
your ordinance doesn't say that right at the moment, that I read. I mean, obviously, there's precedence that you guys might have.
Well, there's no precedent for the way the cluster is written right now, because there's
Right.
been nothing,
Yeah.
developed under that ordinance.
And 55 or older is not mentioned in your, to my knowledge, not mentioned at all.
Yeah, to your point, Calvin, about preserving the back lot. If they clustered this lot, they could still divide this at the 5 years, right?
No, because you
No.
potentially have to preserve it due to the fact it's a cluster, you'd be forcing the preservation of the ag and street
Cause the
roading all
whole
your
thing would be
houses.
clustered, not
Because the
just.
whole thing would
I
be
see,
clustered.
got it, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Most towns do that for that reason, so you preserve the back majority of the lot, and then, but this is kind of a unique situation where you have the ag and rural at the same, on the same plot.
Well, I'm sorry, we can't definitively answer all your questions.
That's fine, it's more information, that's all I need, so.
It's pretty conceptual, we were never gonna answer all the questions.
I
Yeah,
realize we haven't done our, complete homework yet, we have still to negotiate with the owner and.
but yeah, there's a lot of steps. I mean, like, I don't think I'm alone in thinking that it sure would be interesting to see what a concept for a cluster style development on this would look like.
I'd be curious to see a road coming off of it. That part of the road gets hammered. Absolutely hammered down there.
Hammered as in,
Beat.
oh, yes, it is, okay.
That stretch of road is a pretty,
Is Baptist Hill is unpaved there?
that's unpaved, yeah.
Mhm.
So it's
How-
unpaved probably 300 yards before that lot starts.
Yep.
And that's
No, the Baptist Hill's paved.
the
Baptist-
first 200 yards of Baptist
Oh, no.
Hill.
Oh, okay, I didn't, I'm actually not past
Oh,
it.
it's all dirt, yeah.
Oh, is it dirt after that? Oh,
That's all dirt, yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty far down now. They did a stretch a couple of years ago.
Do you
Four
prefer,
houses down.
I apologize. Do you prefer dirt compared to pavement on the roads?
I don't think there's an official,
Officially or
That's
personally?
that's who you asked. Yeah.
Let's try both.
Yeah, it just, I mean, you're familiar with the concept of mud season. I
Oh,
would
yeah,
think.
no, believe me.
the roads perform differently.
Yeah, it's just a.
Yeah, I don't know that stretch of Baptist Hill fantastically well.
Oh, I do.
All right, further questions, further comments from the board?
No, I wish we could be more help, but
You're fine, you did great. I mean, I'm just, any information we get is positive and it creates more questions and more alternatives. Now we'll go back and see what we can do.
Of course.
yeah.
All right,
All right,
Just a,
thank you very much.
thank you very much.
just a question, like, do you know, can you come back for another brief exception?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, if we get to the purchase price, we'll come back.
I did wanna ask you if you are, sometimes developers don't understand what we call the Canterbury rectangle.
Yes, it's in the.
All right,
This little
this is
piece
gonna
right
be
here.
interesting.
Look in the ordinance, it said, it's just in your plan, you have to put a rectangle that shows that there is a buildable area.
Oh, yes, okay, that's every town we go into is like that. You have to show the buildable area, a septic pit,
I think our ordinance is a little
Ours
bit
is
different.
apparently a little
than-
idiosyncratic.
It
Okay.
must be a road.
It's just.
Read
must
the
be
book. It must be a rectangle.
well, it can't be a square?
No,
No.
Seriously?
Yeah, there's
That's
specific.
not in the ordinance that I saw.
Just follow the rules of the Canterbury rectangle, you'll be fine.
Okay, all right.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? Thank you very much. Pleasure meeting you.
All right, and I will step down and Megan, take off.
Thank you. I did not know that Brendan is not gonna be here, and I also did not know it was Tuesday. I am very sorry. I'm just several weeks out from my dissertation defense, so I'm very
Time
much
is
in-
imaginary.
Yes. Did the town hear from Brendan?
he's on vacation.
Yeah, but he promised us cluster subdivision ordinance revision stuff.
I haven't seen it.
No,
If you haven't seen it
I have not.
and you haven't seen it,
I don't believe anything's
then
been
I
I
submitted.
have
think,
not.
You went on vacation, can't.
I think we might have to table that on the grounds that
there's nothing to
we don't have the
discuss.
stuff that we were gonna discuss.
I mean, even if we don't have revisions, like, I feel like after having, I guess you could call that a preconceptual, does that bring anything that we feel we should address or bring up regardless of having a draft? Like, is there any highlight points where you say, hey, for instance, the ag versus rural, do we need to address that in our ordinance or
Maybe
not?
we need to address what to do when
Yes.
there's a split lot like that.
When there's split.
If that's not covered somehow already,
Split
we
zone.
might wanna
Right,
add that.
cause we were looking for the governing rule for a major subdivision. And is there anything that, splits that up either?
Oh, of course.
Oh.
Yeah, by the way, thank you. Was there discussion the last meeting about what the revisions would contain? Was Brendan supposed to?
No, Brandon was gonna write an ordinance based off of our meeting a month or two ago.
Mhm.
So
on
just
what
like
we
a
brought up.
draft of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was gonna have a draft ordinance for us that we could look at.
All right. Do we need to move to table that,
Unless we've got any other genius ideas we feel we can discuss off the cuff here.
I mean,
if
I
kind
just
of
feel
have
like we
to-
really need to start pinpointing what do we want in a cluster.
Yeah.
Now we've had potentially two,
Mhm.
almost three if you consider the backside of exit 18. Like, what are the glaring weaknesses? How can we address them? And how do we make this process smoother for the applicant and the town? Because I feel unprofessional going, I don't really know about how that's supposed to, it's very difficult when we have so many ambiguous loopholes in it. We don't have to write a novel for an ordinance, but we need to find a way to better steer applicants, I think.
I wouldn't
I
call
feel like
them
every time we
loopholes.
think we've kind of covered things, we run up against like these kind of edge cases, like
Right.
this like 57% rural lot, and like, how do we handle that, and like, can they even do a cluster development?
And I think in this town, especially the larger parcels are mixed lots, you don't have a lot of 200-acre pure ag, they're on multiple zones.
Yeah.
That's something that we might really need to look into and try to figure out how do we address a situation like that.
Megan, did you ever do the thing with the maps where we were gonna figure out like the overlays? You've been in
Have
your
not yet.
dissertation hole,
I
okay.
I'm so sorry, I have been.
No, this is not, I'm not,
Also,
Judgment.
be close.
Mm.
Great, so I think you're the longest running on this board. This is the first with, like what Calvin said, there aren't many lots that are just pure ag. This is the first that someone's wanted to subdivide a divided lot or a split lot.
No, not at all. The question is about how does cluster apply to, we know how to apply it for regular
it's,
development.
do we
That's-
apply the
that's-
rural cluster rules or the ag cluster rules, or do we somehow apply some rules to part and some rules to the other part?
Right.
Which is
I thought the
probably the same
question,
idea.
until you brought up cluster, I thought the original question when he brought this to me was, does he need to wait 5 years for this section?
Well, that's also a question.
Okay, that was the question.
Because once
was
a
curious if it was
ag
addressed.
lot has been subdivided, it can't be subdivided again for, we're pretty sure 5 years,
Yeah,
but
not a
nobody seems
major.
100% sure of that number.
Mhm.
Right, and it goes two ways.
And how does that affect this lot since it's,
Because Calvin was saying, because the parent lot was majority ag, does that mean none of the others can be subdivided for 5 years?
Right.
So
Just clarification on like the tiny minutia.
Yeah.
Because development's coming, we can't avoid it, and unfortunately, the big parcels we're gonna run into these issues on these parcels that get subdivided,
I agree.
and
so,
that's
I mean,
tricky.
like, if they, I'm spitballing this, if they had subdivided the Abberton lots like along the zoning line instead of along, you know, logical, reasonable lines that make sense based on the geography, like, if they had peeled off a lot that was only rural off on that corner, would we apply the 5-year rule to that only rural lot? We
That
probably-
was my question, is I don't, that,
And it's, please tell me you're writing these questions down, because we need to ask,
I just know, I don't know what the heck happened.
we need to ask Brendan this question, because I feel like if anyone is gonna have an answer before just doing a bunch of research on it, it's gonna be him.
yeah, cause I mean, that's gonna be,
it's something we need to, it's not clear in the ordinance, I believe,
No.
and it's something we should clarify.
like, I'm glad he came, but at the same time, I'm like, oh my, I've never thought of that,
Right.
Yeah,
you know?
So with the time, I think it's worth, if that is another ordinance that needs tightening, does anyone have a position on how to handle that?
I mean, would it be a cluster, or would it
Just
be
for
part of
discussion,
subdivisions?
well, I think these are two
yeah,
semi-separate issues, like.
No, I mean, like, major subdivision, would that be a clause to the major subdivision, or would that fall under the cluster? Like, where would it fall in the ordinances, or where would be the best place to tackle that?
I think Brendan has a lot more experience on where that should go in the ordinance. If you can go in one place and cover everything, that would be better than having bits
Yeah, I
and
feel that
pieces.
it seems like so often we're coming up against these like, you know, kind of edge case scenarios, and it feels like there should be a like, in the case of edge cases, here's how we figure it out kind of set of rules, and I don't know that we have that.
Yeah, cause I think we're gonna see a lot more edge cases now, you know, with road
Yeah.
frontage restrictions, class 6 buildability.
An aging population that's gonna subdivide and sell off their lands.
And it's easier to have a much more streamlined, thought out process than trying to throw something against the wall and hope it sticks. And then we're not dragging out the applicants.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, I'm not super stressed about where he is at, since he doesn't even actually own this.
No,
land.
but I just mean, you know, you get something coming down the pipeline, you don't wanna sit there scratching your head and go, oh,
Yeah.
no, we'll get back to you in 6 months, you know?
Yeah.
That's not courteous.
I don't have the ordinance, but
Yeah, no, it's certainly not
Take your
ideal,
time.
and it's not like a great use of anybody's time, like we should figure out how to do things in
It also
Orderly.
opens the door to litigation for
and
a-
also bad, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
there are many reasons why an efficient, streamlined, organized, sensible process with fewer questions is better.
You try to make it as black and white as you can, and obviously
Yeah.
everything's gonna be gray to an extent, but
Yeah. If there is one thing I've learned in my time on the sport, just when you think things are gonna like make sense, hey, we've got an exception for you.
I mean, hopefully Brendan can have an answer for that, or, I could ask Cal or Ken, or maybe reach out to council
He
and see
said
what they
that they
think.
already caught, they.
I think it should go
I
to
think start
Brendan,
with Brendan,
Yeah.
go to
Yeah.
Brendan.
and Brendan would be the one to reach out to council.
To decide
Yeah,
how
yeah.
to move forward on it.
But
Alright.
back to that question of the precedent on that first question, not the cluster question, but how has that happened in the past, if you can recall a situation of this sort of?
What is clear is about, and I don't remember the exact wording, about how to decide which lot, if there is a lot with a zoning boundary through it, there is a definition of how to decide which zoning rules apply to that lot.
Mhm.
But I think that's where it stops.
Right.
It doesn't stop, it doesn't talk about a parent lot subdividing and applying the regs of,
Yeah,
I feel like that would get confusing. So, I mean, like, it seems like it has to run off of like what the majority of the lot is, right? So like if this lot is majority rural, then rural rules would apply, which means that there's no 5-year restriction even on the part that's in ag.
and that's where my confusion comes in.
Right.
That's where I'm kind of sitting here going, how do you apply?
well, that's not how it was applied on that Wyven Road subdivision, because when that's, majority was ag, but one lot was divided in, as 3 acres, which is the, because that lot lot that was subdivided is all in that zone. The other lot was partly in rural and partly in ag, but it was mostly in ag, so the ag rules applied and that went to 5 acres. So it's my recollection of how that worked.
If that's predominantly rural, then technically would qualify for a cluster.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
So that's the
yeah,
conundrum,
right,
is where does it
and-
apply and where it doesn't apply?
Well, and
Right.
also if it's majority rural, does that mean that the 5-year delay rule doesn't apply to subdividing that lot further? Even in the part of it that is ag, and
Yeah.
again, around the
Well,
rest again.
but a cluster is a subdivision, so you've subdivided in different those different subdivisions are in different zones. The different lots are in different zones.
So I understand that this isn't clear in how the ordinance is written. But we do have a precedent for how we've handled this in the past. So,
For regular subdivisions, yes.
yes, if they were to go with this.
Well, I think the first question is,
Which is how he presented.
can they subdivide all of that lot, or can they only immediately subdivide the part of it that is in rural?
That's what I'm saying, there's nothing written that makes that clear, but the planning board has decided,
Sure.
like in the example of Wyven Road, that you have to do it this first and then wait 5 years for that, so
So
unless
the
we
precedent says
go.
they have to wait on the ag section.
Yes,
Okay.
so unless we actively change the ordinance before they come with an actual application, I would presume that the smartest move is to go with what we have done
Yeah.
previously.
And I mean, given how slowly development runs, they may very well be putting in their application under whatever the next version of this is.
I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces to that.
Does anyone have a preference on either codifying that precedent, how we've handled it in the past in writing, or changing it to allowable?
I mean, my gut would say if we put it in writing, it's gonna help everybody in the future down the road.
But which one in writing? What we've
That
done in the past, or
I think that would have to be brought up in further discussion in a work session. I think it depends on a lot of things, what's the vision of the town? What are we looking at for maps? What can the town handle? I think that has a lot of implications on how we choose to apply that, because those will,
Hypothetically, say he can't even subdivide this because it falls under ag, right? There's an ag lot divided into 5, now you've got 1 lot for 5 years. As opposed to 13 lots in 6 months.
But that's not what the precedent is. My feeling is that there would be a lot, that residents would object to making to changing the way to not applying it the same way that we have applied it in the past. Meaning, what he's proposing, the parts that's residential can be treated residentially, the part that's ag has to be treated ag.
But I guess the only example we have of that is Wyven Road.
I'm sure there are other examples, but that's.
That's what I'd be curious, is there anything that else we can pull up and say, okay, in 1984 we treated it this way, 96 we
I
did it
don't,
this way?
not that I recall.
Okay.
Joshua might.
It would be delightful if things were organized in such a manner that we could find it easily, but
Cause I would just be curious to see what the historical trend
Yeah.
was over the years
I mean,
versus.
I can ask my dad if he's recalls
Is
seeing
any
this
of,
before.
is any of his property in ag, or is that all in?
I think we're all rural.
All rural?
What do they do up there at like Robin Shore Municipal little,
Nothing.
yeah. But using that as an example,
Yeah, I don't
how did that go at for instance, what is it called? Sherwood Forest.
That was done before there was any zoning ordinance,
Oh, okay.
period.
I could have guessed that,
Yeah.
actually, now that you
Well,
say that.
And that
Yeah,
is
which
why we
explains
have
a
a
lot.
zoning ordinance, or it was shortly thereafter
I
that
see. Okay,
the
that makes
town
sense.
decided to implement an ordinance.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea to look into how we approach it.
I know that like, across on Shaker Road, 598, their lot is half and half at, 598, which is set way back.
Okay. You're the one that got logged,
I don't know if they got one.
or the big one that got logged up there.
That's a big one, that's a
Okay.
big one.
I think if we're tying this into incentivizing cluster, could it be that we codify in writing the way at least our most recent precedent of Wyven Road is, unless you'd like to do a cluster?
Well, I think that's why it's important that we get Brendan's
Right.
draft copy to see what his thinking was on that whole thing, because he seemed to have, didn't have it on paper, but he sort of felt
He had like a
he had it.
vision.
Was he
Yeah.
addressing this issue with them?
No,
No,
see,
no,
no,
no.
not
So
this
for
issue.
this one, is that a way to incentivize cluster? In terms of one of the goals being land
Yeah.
preservation and preservation.
It's, I mean, that's certainly a good
Agriculture.
question. Like,
Well, my feeling is that residents are very opposed to the idea of cluster encroaching on the ag zone in any way.
yeah, but are they going to be more in favor of, breaking up ag zone stuff into 10-acre lots and building right up to the river? I mean,
Versus clustering
So,
a bunch of houses and preserving that land.
every time that it is the
Can you speak
idea
for
of allowing cluster anywhere in ag has been vigorously opposed.
yeah, I think people just don't want any development at all in ag.
Okay,
But if you look at the nuance of it, this is a way to protect the ag.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
mean,
no.
I agree with you, like, I think seeing this as a
agree with
cluster
you,
lot with
that
all
also
housing
is-
up against Baptist Hill and like, leaving the back section by the water open sounds like a better plan than what they laid out on the map, like in terms of, town character and stuff, but also we only have so much control over it. And, and every one of these lots is different, that's like the hardest part about it, is whatever we write in, like, if it works better here, it might work worse somewhere else. It's really hard to write something that's going to work ideally everywhere.
The selling point of applying a cluster in the ag zone is exactly what you're talking about, is protecting some of that ag land. And that's where the land that needs to be protected is, and where the big development pressure is going to end up eventually. But every time it has been discussed, it has been vigorously opposed.
I don't know if people understand that by saying no to cluster development in ag, they're not saying no to development in ag. They're saying no to a specific kind of development. And I don't know that they actually
It's a-
like the alternative better if
it's a heavy lift.
they fully understood it, but also, you know, we haven't done a fantastic job historically of communicating this stuff super well to people.
I mean, we also don't allow multifamily in ag or rural either, so you couldn't even put a duplex in there. Like there's other things you can address in our zoning that could increase housing very easily in a lot of these areas. If housing is your goal. Or housing opportunity, you know, like, it's not just cluster, that's the glaring answer to everything. It's definitely a means to help preserve, but there's other ways that you could procure housing in town just by modifying a couple rules.
We've also like made
The table of uses.
ADUs a lot easier, but yeah, I mean, I think like the fact of the matter is like developers are gonna wanna develop. People are gonna wanna make money by subdividing and selling their land, especially as they get older, and like, you know, the control that we have is not over whether those things happen, it's some degree of control of how they happen.
Right. And being responsible members of the board, like, I feel like we listen to the town. I mean, I've heard probably less than a handful of people that are gung ho for mass development of Canterbury. The problem is it's such scattershot with what the vision of development is that it's really hard to nail down an ordinance that is gonna make the majority happy, you know?
And again, like, you know, the level of understanding that people have of like the various options and what's legally possible and what the planning board can and can't control, like, you know, I definitely, when we were working through some of this stuff the last time, like, there's people out there who think that we've got a lot more control over things than we do.
Right.
Like, we can't make people develop something on their land just because we think the town would like having that thing. It would be cool, but, you know, we can't
And you
make it
can't
happen.
restrict it to the point where
Yeah.
it's unallowable.
We can't be like, you have to put in a recreation center, like, that's not how any of this works.
I think that most folks think or assume that we make a decision because we like the thing or not. By voting yes, we're saying we want this. No, does this apply legally? No. Like, are they within our ordinance? Then we have to say it, otherwise we're open to litigation.
I mean, has
I just
anybody
want that
had
on the
any,
record.
like, has there been?
No, I think you're absolutely, I think that's a fundamental understanding that a lot of people have about legal proceedings in general.
Correct. Absolutely.
That people think a yes vote
Yeah.
means I wanted that here.
Yeah.
No, it just means that it's legally
It's
allowed.
legal.
But I mean, what's the common consensus been on feedback? Like, I'm sure everybody's talked to everybody regarding 18 and clusters, and you know, what are you hearing that is the biggest gripes or shortcomings of the ordinance? The
I
protection of
actually
ag.
haven't heard people chattering that much about like the 114 West Road project yet, like, you know. There's definitely some people who are talking about the Exit 18 development, which I don't actually know a huge amount about.
Wait, we're talking about the gas station or the cluster?
There's a
The cluster.
cluster at
Yeah.
Exit 18, like,
I haven't
don't
heard
know.
anybody say, oh, that's a great idea, looks really wonderful. I've heard a lot of people say, more like, geez, they're tearing that place apart, but.
yeah.
But on the
That's
same
what-
hand, we haven't seen mass chunks of property going up for sale. You know, it's not like people are seeing dollar signs that this is now a way to monetize Canterbury.
Yeah.
You know, I think it can do tweaking, but I think it's addressed some of the housing needs and some of the vision of the future of town. So, I mean, I've heard a lot of negative.
It has definitely fulfilled our fair share of housing increase that we're required to have through 2030. Has done something, so there's no longer that part of the pressure.
In terms of the feedback I've heard, unfortunately, the feedback that I've read is largely stuff that we cannot address in an ordinance. The houses are too expensive. The houses are like, we're very constrained. We have maybe, we've talked about some design type things, but the things that most folks that I've heard don't like about it are not things that we can control for. So
But I mean, no one's heard, hey, we don't wanna build on 20% slopes, we want more open
nobody's talking
space,
like
we
that.
want less
No.
out, like, you haven't heard any of that, you know, more restrictive, less houses, more space, there's been no common, I guess, drive to say, no, we don't want 20 houses on 18 acres, we want 10.
Well, you hear more space, fewer houses. Okay, less land preservation then. There's always a trade-off that folks aren't talking about the trade-off to the opinion that they hold on how
I
this
think
should
that's
be.
again an education problem, like people don't actually understand what these ordinances do functionally.
Now, has there ever been a cap on a cluster, regardless of size of land? So whether you have 100 acres or 1,000 acres, is there you can put no more than X houses?
A cluster can be no bigger than X number. I've thought about this and floated the idea a couple times. In my opinion, I think that could have a really good effect because it keeps the dollar profit incentive below a certain point. If somebody's gonna make $20 million, they're happy to spend $5 million on lawyers and try to destroy our ordinance. But if it's kept down so that no project can be more than, the profit can't. We'd have to control it more like in numbers, but not in terms of dollars.
Cause that's what I would be curious about is if you can divide, rather than basing it on, oh, it's 5 acre lots in ag and we have 100 acres, so we get 20 buildable houses, and then we take our subtractions away or whatever, say, this is a 100 acre lot, you can have no more than 15 houses, regardless of the land. Would that change developability? And the only reason I like putting a cap is large scale looking around town. You get 13 houses here on top of 26 over there in 3 years. What's it do to the schools, police, fire? How can the town absorb that?
Wouldn't they just subdivide into smaller lots and put 15 houses on each of them or whatever? Like you're saying, you've got 100 acres, you can only put X number of houses, wouldn't they just split their lots up?
That's
Maybe,
that's a,
but unless the
Okay,
cluster is only
but-
capped at, you've got 50 to 100 you can offer, I'm making
Yeah.
stuff up right now, but a 50 to 100 acre lot can only have a maximum of these houses. Is that a different approach versus capping based on slopes and wetlands, and is it a different way to get a different result that we can,
I
It's
don't
gonna
know the
stop them from
legality of-
subdividing the rest of the land.
well, if it's ag, you can only do it every 5 years, so it's,
Slows it.
It just slows it down.
but I mean, it's just finding a way to cap, I think it just makes it easier for the town to digest the larger impacts.
I'm not like shooting you down for the sake of shooting you down.
No,
I'm just still like find the errors person by nature.
No, perfect, because that's what we need to do, and this is kind of just coming out, and I don't know if that's plausible, if not, if it's ridiculous, like, just trying to look at it a different way.
So another thing I thought about is if the impact on services is more than increasing it by more than 20%, that we have a cap on how much a project can increase demand on services. That we can't,
That would be really hard to get numbers for.
To be
well, they always,
precise.
Well, I mean, like
Can
the
give
impact
us
study,
we got
numbers.
we got the impact
Right,
study
I was
in
just
the
gonna
nursing
say.
home, and it's 30%, right?
right,
Sure, but like the opportunity for them to legislate, like try to take us to court over those estimates and like tell us that they're wrong is huge.
I mean, there's impact fees.
We have talked about this over and
I
over
remember.
again.
I'm in favor of them.
It's logistically a nightmare, apparently.
Yes, that's what
It has to, every time I've talked about it, the select board and administration has said it's impractical for us to do.
well, I mean, you've also got a part-time town government too, like, we
Yeah.
don't have a 40-hour-a-week land use person who can sit there and comb this, like, we're trying to do something that us as a town can do to the best of our abilities under the constraints we have, but at the same time, trying to maximize a landowner's potential,
Oh, I
this is,
assume we were just
it's
gonna send
tricky.
you out with a big stick to collect the fees.
I could. Pay up.
It seems very efficient.
But that's the tricky part too, is we don't have a person sitting at a desk for 40 hours trying to track it all down.
Why is it difficult
Uh,
in terms of
There's a lot of
logistics?
legality about other things the town has to do in order to justify the impact fee. In terms of capital improvement plans is one of them. That's one of the reasons why we've been talking about capital improvement plan, but that's one of the basic things. But I think it goes way beyond that.
I'm trying to think of why it would be logistically difficult if we know, say, just hypothetically, we've got a cluster coming in, we know it's gonna increase, a third-party impact study says it's likely to increase headcount at the school by 35%. Great, we get school, calculate what is the cost, what is that gonna require that Canterbury do? And then have a certain amount that the developer puts into
Let's see, they were.
an endowment, an account, something for the
I mean,
school
if
to.
your school needs a $10 million improvement, cause 35% increase, what are you gonna say, you need to pay 35% of the, that's gonna just kick development away, because there goes your profit.
Oh no.
But I'm just saying, but it's one of those things, is how do you calculate it, how do you do it fairly? How do you
Another thing,
that's the
there's a
big difference, right?
restriction,
I pay 75% of the anticipated impact into
you can
an account that
only,
accrues interest.
you can only use it for capital expenditure, I think is another one of the, it can't be for like, the salaries for more teachers, it can only be for
But it's all
physical
infrastructure, right, roads,
infrastructure.
police, fire, and buildings.
Wow, I mean,
Police
theoretically, the additional
but not
tax
police.
base would,
People,
So you can
Fund
buy a
some.
cruiser, but not another auto.
you can buy an ambulance, but you can't pay the $1 million a year to fund to put staff the
Okay.
ambulance, is what I recall.
I mean, like, I hate opening this can of worms, but I'm glad we're doing it, because like, these are pretty important things to try to address. 'Cause I don't see this slowing down, I don't see
Which
this
is-
going away, I don't,
Which is why
I
I
think
find your idea of a cap is, might be a way to address it, I don't know if that,
yeah.
you know, again, that's how,
I'd have to look at
legality, yeah, absolutely.
legality and, you know, all of those potential unforeseen impacts.
Well, and the other thing too is the wetland setback, if you increase your wetland setback, that lot
Which
gets cut in
I'm
half.
fully in favor of increasing the wetland setback, but nobody else.
I mean, what's the town's view on a wetland
I
setback?
love that.
Kick
Well,
back over
Apparently
25 feet.
historically, the town didn't want one, and so we passed a small one because we thought we could get that through and we might not be able to get a bigger one through. That's my understanding
I
of
mean, we
what
live in a
was
wet town.
doing. My
I think
mosquito
that's,
population agrees with you.
that's also my understanding, but I think people also talk, when we passed it, is people talked about revisiting it to increase it.
Sure, absolutely, but I don't know if we wanna make that a priority for this year, cause people are gonna be like, didn't we just vote on the wetlands?
No, but I'm just saying, that's a limiting factor that all adds up to your clusters, when your setbacks get changed, now your Canterbury rectangle gets smaller on some of these lots.
Yeah.
That impacts the buildability,
Right.
that starts restricting like
I think-
every domino plays.
I think it's also important to not consider what we put to a town vote based on whether or not we think it will pass. If we see, as the planning board, with the knowledge about how this can help the town, a reason for this potentially being beneficial for the town, if we think it's gonna get voted down, still put it forward. Like, the worst it gets voted down, maybe it doesn't.
Yes, and like, sometimes you're muddying the waters by putting stuff in there, but it's just.
It's about prioritizing what's
You can only put so much stuff on and educate
the
people about
things
so
that you
much
think
stuff.
are important, that you think you can get past. And if you add this on, then you've lost 3 things that you think are really important.
Oh, yeah, definitely, I don't necessarily mean this for next year, I'm just saying, when we're considering what are we going to bring to the town for a vote, just in general, I don't think the barometer should be, well, do we think people will like it or not? It should be, the justification should be why we think this is good for the town, based on what the town has told us, based on what we know and what we see coming at
For sure.
us.
That's how
And
we
like,
approach
when
the
we're talking
cluster
about
ordinance.
specific details of things, sometimes it's, if we put in this specific detail, it's gonna tank the whole thing and we wanna get the whole thing through. And so we're making that trade-off.
In order to counter the like misunderstandings and misinformation, we can have like a bring your Facebook comment to the planning board night. And we can just educate folks and help
That
them
really is the answer.
understand.
That is the
No,
answer.
I mean, like, I'm laughing because it's funny, not because it's not a good idea.
It really,
Yeah.
like,
Well, for the last
bring your Facebook
cluster
comment in.
ordinance, we had, we must have had at least a dozen information and education and town input and meetings in order to get that through. We got it through and people don't like it anyway, so.
But
And
would they
it
vote
has
to-
problems, that first one that would.
I mean, the problem is people don't show up to the information sessions.
I was
They
just
show
gonna
up to
say,
the
was it
Facebook
well
page.
attended?
Yeah, I mean,
Facebook Live planning board. That'd be horrible.
honestly,
That's not a bad, I'm putting
It's
that
not
down.
Yeah,
the
that's
worst
true, maybe look
idea.
into the future. a
but
little
like,
bit.
the
Or
fact of the
Facebook
matter is, like, from an educational perspective, we need a social media manager.
But I mean, we have the live
I
streams.
don't want this job.
Take it.
No.
Cause I mean, the best way to be effective
me.
is to get feedback and to get people, but if they
Absolutely.
don't communicate it in a channel that we hear it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I agree with you, they should bring it to the planning side, but the fact of the matter is, instead, they're arguing it with each other with limited knowledge on Facebook. And we can't stop them.
To be fair, if you are not in favor of something, you are far more likely to complain about it online.
Then
So that the balance of like what people actually feel
Again,
is a little
which is
skewed.
Oh, yes, they're more likely to complain than to speak positively, absolutely.
I mean, people
that's
defending
always-
data centers.
This is always
on there,
This
so.
is true of all things. People are always more likely to complain than to say good things. But, you know, again, this comes back to, we kind of need social media management.
Well, I digress, but in the ordinances, I mean, is that something, you know, like you bring up wetlands or you bring up the subdivision, major subdivision stuff. What about road frontages? When's the last time those were addressed and changed?
What happened with the
What do you want
state
me to-
laws on that stuff? Because wasn't
I
there
thought
some,
there was
They
something.
pretty much, maybe you can build everywhere. They reduced
Did
them.
that pass?
I don't know if it passed.
yeah, that's the thing, I don't
I
remember if
believe
it
it did
passed,
not.
and if it
It
did,
did
it's,
not.
I believe it did not.
that's good.
What I recall about that is every time we talked about the possibility of increasing it, people said, you're lucky you're not being challenged in court at being unreasonable already.
Mhm.
Really?
Cause those, like I said, those are all the little dominoes that you hit and they have the big impacts on the big, you know, the clusters,
Yeah.
these subdivisions. You know, for
Straws
instance,
on
if
the
it was,
scale.
what are those, is rural 250?
I think
No, it's
Big
all
every
300,
Everything's 300?
except for commercial.
Is 300, I know.
Rural's 3?
Yeah.
Okay, cause I know like residential might be 250.
What?
They should have it on
Really? I
No,
thought it was
no.
150, 250, 300.
there. No, I know what,
No.
yeah, that's all, they say that, but I think.
Right, minimum, lot depth, sorry, not frontage, lot depth changed.
No.
That's my fault. You know, cause if you changed frontages by 50 feet, these lots all change their configuration, you know,
My question is, why would you want to, make it smaller?
I don't, I'm just trying to say is if you manipulate other ordinances, you have to realize how much of a big impact it has on these bigger things that are already ambiguous. You know,
I
so
think the
if,
wetland thing might be something that the town would support and could make a significant impact.
I mean, I know in one town, they changed it by 50 feet this year and the developer lost 20 homes. Because of the setback, they lost 20 houses, half the project, because of 50 feet. Those have the biggest impacts, you know, does that affect your agricultural community? Is there, you know,
What about this property, does it have a lot of wetlands?
this thing is soupy, like.
It's got
this
a
is-
river up one
Yeah,
side.
it's wicked good, like,
And that it is very, very wet there. I don't know if you know that property at all, but
I don't.
there's a whole pond there.
yeah, the backside is up here, and all, and it's here. But I mean, are those important things to address, or do we just leave it this year and just work on the cluster ordinance?
I think we have to focus on the cluster ordinance because it needs fixing, and we know it needs fixing. And I feel like tweaking the wetlands distance, if we decide that we can swing getting that in this year, probably also won't take very long.
Right, that's a small change, it's a separate,
I
it's
think-
a separate word
Don't we
article.
have to, do we have to run the wetlands ordinance back through a vote to adjust the thing that we kind of made a mistake on last time?
Yes,
So I wonder if we can just
incorporate it, and that is the change.
incorporate a change there too,
That's not a bad idea.
yeah.
I mean,
If we're, like, if we're changing it anyways, maybe we should just change it both to fix the thing that we intended to do the first
Well-
time and to just expand it a little bit.
I mean, maybe is that something we reach out to the Ag Commission and Conservation and see what their input is on that?
Yeah, I think that's
Definitely you have to.
definitely conservation has opinions on that.
Well, ag too, I mean, that plays a big part in infrastructure, pumping water, who can cross what and where.
I
Well, it's just
think
ground
you could
disturbance.
write that with
Yeah,
an
there could be
agricultural
exemptions.
exemption so that it didn't impact the ag community.
Well, I mean, if you're driving your tractor through a wet spot, tearing it up, isn't that still technically a violation?
It might be a state violation, but we can write our ordinance that says
And that's what I
that
mean.
there's an exemption for agricultural activities.
I think our ordinance only covers like alteration of terrain
It
and
only-
building
And
stuff.
building, yeah.
So driving your tractor in it would be,
Unless you gotta build a bridge to cross to get machines over for your,
That's DES anyway, but
yeah.
Is it?
stream crossing.
yeah, that's outside of our purview. It's still not a good idea, but not our problem.
you just try to protect everybody's interests and, you know, if you add 25 feet, what does that do?
I
Well,
think the other
town-
thing is this map has no wetlands yet.
No, it's
So I'm saying,
Yeah.
maybe it isn't as big of, I mean, I think this
Yeah.
is a very valuable discussion, but this particular person, I'm not sure, maybe it's.
I've ridden horses all over a lot of that land. It's wet.
it's.
There's a lot of wetlands.
All around.
Yeah, you go hunt back there, it's wet.
So in terms of cluster, the next step for us is really to wait for Brendan to give us the draft and then we'll have a basis for discussion.
I would move that we shelve further discussion on this until we've got Brendan's input.
Do we need to vote though?
I would second that. I don't think you need to vote to
yeah.
table something.
No, so we'll
but-
table that for,
You've taken a list of a few
Yeah.
things to feed to Brendan
Yes.
about things that we'd be interested in
yes.
looking at.
I just feel like we've hit the point of exhausting our ideas a bit on this one, and it would benefit from us all just going back and sleeping on it and checking in with other people.
I would make a final motion though.
Alright, any other business? No, motion to,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.